attention around State House Circle today, and you'll notice things are in motion and moving rapidly when it comes to moving the Roger Taney statue that's been sitting by the Maryland State House for 140 years. Maryland Capitol Police still standing guard. They've been here round the clock since Wednesday morning. We saw folks on site, including some from DGS, making plans for how to take it down. And we saw more and more people, tourists and locals too, coming to look at the monument for the first and possibly the last time.
Of course, it's a point of interest to come here and see if it's here in the near future.
So I think it's definitely a very important time to be living in.
This comes one day after the State House Trust, via email, voted to remove the Taney statue from its perch. The vote, 11 News has confirmed, 3-0 so far. The fourth member still to weigh in, Senate President Mike Miller. According to his spokesman, Jake Wiseman, Miller will not stand in the way of removing the statue, but believes this issue is so important deserves a public hearing and, quote, it was our understanding that there would be a public meeting to vote on this and discuss other issues. Wiseman says the Senate president still believes that the State House Trust should have an open and public discussion, both about the removal of the statue as well as where the statue will go, what will go into its place, and logistical issues, including how the statue is to be removed.
And at this hour, 11 News has learned Senate President Mike Miller is sending a letter to the governor raising concern and frustration that this has not been an open and transparent.
Thank you, Mr. Butterfield, for your really exemplary leadership here. It's a proud day for Maryland as we replace the bust of Roger Brooke Taney, or we move to replace the bust of Roger Brooke Taney with the bust of Thurgood Marshall. One Marylander wrote the infamous Dred Scott decision, hundreds of pages of argumentation about how the Constitution is and must forever be a white man's compact, and that African Americans have no rights that white people have to respect. And the other, Thurgood Marshall, whose bust will replace that of Justice Taney, argued Brown versus Board of Education, argued Shelley versus Kramer, argued Smith versus Albright, became the first African-American Associate Justice of the Supreme Court. He made equal protection come alive in our country. So it's a proud day for Maryland. I was delighted to hear the gentleman from Illinois' remarks, but I was amazed to hear another colleague in the minority defending the bust of John C. Breckinridge on the grounds that we don't honor him for his service as Secretary of War in the Confederacy, but we rather honor him for what he did before that in his prior service as a United States Senator and Vice President of the United States. Well, that's just precious. Think about that for a second. Breckinridge was serving as a U.S. Senator from Kentucky when he defected to the Union, signed up to become their Secretary of War, and betrayed the Union, and they still have his bust outside of the United States Senate saying Vice President on it, despite the fact that on December 4th, 1861, he was convicted of treason by the Senate and stripped of all of his titles, including Senator, President of the Senate, and Vice President. So we may as well put up a statue to Benedict Arnold to honor him for his service to the Continental Army before he defected over to the British side and led British troops against America. So let's go all the way here. If there are statues of traitors and racist, white supremacist supporters of the Confederacy up in the Capitol, then we need to get rid of them. This is our opportunity to remake the social contract as represented by the symbolism in this great house.
And in Washington, D.C., the House will vote to remove a bust of Chief Justice Roger Taney. Taney authored the 1857 Dred Scott decision declaring that African Americans could not be citizens. The vote would need to be approved by the House and Senate, then signed by Donald Trump. Some doubt the vote will be approved, given Trump's opposition to the removal.
Dred Scott versus Sanford. The question before us is whether the class of persons described in the plea and abatement composed of a portion of this people and are constituent members of this sovereignty. We think they are not, that they are not included and were not intended to be included under the word citizens in the Constitution, and can therefore claim none of the rights and privileges which that instrument provides for and secures to citizens of the United States. On the contrary, they were at the time considered as a subordinate and inferior class of beings who had been subjugated by the dominant race, and whether emancipated or not, yet remained subject to their authority, and had no rights or privileges but such as those who held the power and the government might choose to grant them. The language of the Declaration of Independence is equally conclusive. It begins by declaring that when in the course of human events it becomes necessary for one people to dissolve the political bands which have connected them with another, and to assume among the powers of the earth the separate and equal stations to which the laws of nature and nature's God entitled them, decent respect for the opinions of mankind requires that they should declare the causes which impels them to the separation. It then proceeds to say, we hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain and unalienable rights, that among them is life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, that to secure these rights, governments are instituted, deriving their powers from the consent of the governed. General words above quoted would seem to embrace the whole human family. If they were using a similar instrument at this day would be so understood. But it is too clear for dispute that the enslaved African race were not intended to be included and formed no part of the people who framed and adopted this declaration. For if the language, as understood in that day, would embrace them, the conduct of the distinguished men who framed the Declaration of Independence would have been utterly and flagrantly inconsistent with the principles they asserted. And instead of sympathy of mankind to which they so competently appeal, they would have deserved and received universal rebuke and reprobation. Upon these considerations, it is the opinion of the court that the act of Congress which prohibited a citizen from holding and owning property of this kind in the territory of the United States, north of the line therein mentioned, is not warranted by the Constitution, and is therefore void, and that neither Dred Scott himself nor any of his family were made free by being carried into the territories, even if they had been carried there by their owner with the intention of becoming a permanent resident. Upon the whole, therefore, it is the judgment of this court that it appears by the record before us that the plaintiff is in error, is not a citizen of Missouri in the sense in which that word is used in the Constitution.
And over the past few weeks, we've grieved together as the Black community has endured more senseless acts of racial terror and violence. At YouTube, we believe Black lives matter, and we all need to do more to dismantle systemic racism. We're committed to doing better as a platform to center and amplify Black voices and perspectives. And we're working to ensure Black users, artists, and creators can share their stories and be protected from hateful, white supremacist, and bullying content. We know there is much more work.
You feel, however, that we're making progress in this country and worldwide?
No. I will never say that progress is being made. If you stick a knife in my back 9 inches and pull it out 6 inches, there's no progress. If you pull it all the way out, that's not progress. The progress is healing the wound that the blow made. And they haven't even begun to pull the knife out, much less try and heal the wound. They won't even admit the knife.
Good afternoon. This is Rudolf from Germany. I am addressing today specifically Afro-American people. I might be probably the first white man, Aryan German man, who is admitting something to you. I took a long time to think about this video which I'm showing you, a very short one. about the white race. Many of you, dark-skinned people, in America mainly, have had a suspicion for a very long time. White people are not really human. And this suspicion has been around for a long, long time. And like any suspicion which is around for a long, long time, there is a little bit of truth to it. I want to admit today to you that white people originating from Northern Europe are called not aliens, they are called Aryans. Sorry about that, my brain don't function so well today. These white people are not really human from this earth like black people are, Indian people are, Asian people are. Yes, they are all humans. We white people are actually a minority, and we are, let's face the truth, also called the tall whites. Not all of us are tall, not all of us are completely white, but in general, that's what it is. And as some of you may know, the tall whites are not really earthly human, but we're coming out of space, out of another galaxy. We are not human as the rest of the human race. We came here from another star, we white people, in order to control the world. We white people all have a secret code, a secret language under each other. We know, no matter how nice we pretend to be, we all stick together in order to control the other races, particularly the black race. And I am feeling so bad about it by now that I had to speak out here on this video and admit it. White people are not human. White people, including myself, all stick together, know the truth which they do not want to admit to you. White people are out of space. We come from another galaxy. We all know our home planet, which we don't want to reveal because we don't want to be attacked. And we have no good intention with you. We do not want to share our wealth with you. We do not want to share our knowledge with you. You have been mistreated hundreds of years ago, and this is very, very bad. And your chances in life, to the most of you, many of you have no chance in life. You can sit and wait for work on a corner with your other friends, and work will never arrive to you. It's very, very hard, I know. And we rich people, we white people, we alien people don't want to share what we have with you, so you have a good time. This is my testimony in public. White people are from another planet.
Hello and welcome to the most hated show in the black corner of YouTube. I am your host, the whiteologist, Mr. Blows Your Minds, and this is Black Minds News Report. Black Minds News is the report. Articulate, transmit, communicate, insinuate, develop, investigate, decode, unveil, spread the news, whether it's by news, video, website, or quotes from publications. As I articulate this information as the creative universe, be here heart, soul, mind, and spirit. Because why? The truth don't need no partner. As a descendant of the greatest people who created this land that you call the United States, We, today's children and present generation, we give honor to our ancestors. You know what the motto of my show is? I'm never gonna tell you what I heard. I'm only gonna tell you what I know. Today's date is August 12th, 2020, in the return after a few days hiatus, a Black Minds News Report. Yeah, I'm your host, Mr. Blows Your Minds, and there's been some things in the news that we're gonna continue to, talk about. How previous videos that those who have seen last, there is something that when we look at Rudolph from Germany say, and we have to look at the case called the Dred Scott case, that how that opinion was made by Judge B. Taney, and how that is still prevalent today. And it's something that Rudolph said. Is it factual? Can we see it? Well, also we're going to talk about some other things too. Did you hear about the fact that the Amber Guyger decided that she is trying to get a lesser charge than murder? Other situations, the anniversary of Michael Brown, and look back at that story, and maybe a few other things. So stay tuned as we get into this broadcast. Hey, how's y'all doing, everybody? Again, this is your host, Mr. Blow Your Minds, and welcome to the most hated show in the black corner of YouTube. Been in the business since 2012, but you couldn't tell on the videos because it seemed like we can't get 100 views no matter what. It seems like the last time that I put out them videos, they did everything in the YouTube system to suppress this channel so that those videos do not get out. Can you believe when there's many views that I get, but I start to get a nice liking, a thumbs up, and somehow it just dies right out. But these people swear down. They swear down that they are good-hearted philanthropists, humanitarians, but they don't want us ever talking about what is the truth of the life that we as BADOS in this country. So anyway, first and foremost, I want to say what's good to my fam, my subscribers, my day ones. What's good, fam? And my new subscribers, a few that I have gotten along the way. If you happen to have subscribed and you have not gone back to make sure that they did not take you off the bell, because some days I can get 5 and then the next day it come down and it keep fluctuating. How is it that somebody take their time to go ahead and subscribe on the channel and then they're going to come back and take off the bell notification because you kind of keep me suppressed in a way, because this is the most hated show in the black corner of YouTube. Passerbys, if you happen to click on due to the thumbnail that you've seen or the title of the show, welcome to the most hated show in the black corner of YouTube. We always got a grand opening over here. Go down the aisle, see some things you might happen to like. You may happen to see something that make you feel some kind of way. Remember that the motto of my show is the truth. Don't need no partner. So, as I was sitting here talking about, as you've seen in the intro there, you've seen how the theme is talking about the Dred Scott case, right? When it comes to Judge Taney, or Taney, and how he was the chief opinion of the case of 1857 of the Dred Scott case. Now, those who are avid watchers over here, you've seen the last couple of videos. No, they were 3 hours long. There was a lot of stuff that I had to talk about. There's other things and other stories. Hopefully that you enjoyed it. Many of you did show your liking by throwing a thumbs up. I appreciate each and every one of you who did. Those who seen it and was kind of like, because I'm pretty sure there's certain people who do come over here and watch who are just here to be a fly on the wall, trying to see what some of the stuff that we as black people are talking about. And, you know, it's kind of like when you come over here and you hear what was being said, you may feel some kind of way because we're just talking about what's prevalent, what's real. We're not trying to do the gloss over type of news. We're here to tell what a TI is. And we're not here to, you know, belittle anybody, but facts is always going to be facts, regardless to how you're looking at it, right? So they're talking about how Congress is weighing in to kicking this racist justice system statue from the Capitol, right? They want to talk about this Judge B. Taney, right? That's what they call Judge B. Taney, right? And, you know, again, they said, if you've been watching over here, you kind of got an ideal already, right? Who he is. And so this story is not like it's new as to the simple fact that they said on July 22nd of 2020, they supposedly had been voting. Now you've seen the clip in the beginning there where you've seen the session of those who were pro and for. And they were sitting there again deciding on whether to remove the statue. And then they also talk about how they're talking about replacing it, right? And put it in with Thurgood Marshall. Now, you have to take one, subtract one in order to get one, instead of one should have just been added anyway, right? So this is making like it's some kind of transition and that there's some kind of progress, like Malcolm said, taking, you know, stick me with 8 inches and taking out 2 inches and calling it progress, right? But what I want to look at here, and then go on to the other story because they're going to all be tied in together. You know how we set the theme up here. Taken down, right? That had been over the last couple of weeks when it became a hot issue where you've seen those who were protesting out there, you know, going, grabbing, snatching statues down. It became hysterical in the country and people were upset. And those who were using this as some kind of symbolage to show reform. So there's a lot of mixed messages to that, right? Some people are pro for taking down, some are not, or anti against. My stance is the fact, leave them up. See, the symbolage of it represents something, right? Now you think by taking it down, that somehow taking it down, the physical, the statue, the bust, somehow is going to remove the legacy that remains of the damage that has been done. Let me say that again. Some people like the symbology of things, right? To remove something physically, the statue, the bust, right? And not understanding that that's only a representation, but what about the legacy of the damage that was done by the individual? That's the issue that needs to be removed. It's not by that bust. It's not about that statue. It's about what had been set by, as these being politicians and judges and so forth, the damage. Now, again, there's a history to the whole thing, to this, to the Dred Scott situation, where they seem to have given a remedy. But you got to remember the words of Rudolph. What did Rudolph say? He said there's a secret code with one another. Stick together to control all races, but particularly those of who? We, BADOS. He said they all know the truth. Now, we to take what Rudolph said again. I'm still waiting for somebody of that persuasion to come and tell me he's a kook, he's a liar. Not yet. And then even though I am one of the most suppressed, there is no show on YouTube more suppressed than I. None. There's an inner working inside that makes sure that this channel, how is it that you can upload videos and that none of the numbers change as to the directions as the algorithm showing that people coming in, yet views are coming to the video and yet none changes? That's just, again, you understand? And never mind, I ain't gonna talk about that. But anyway, so let's look at that, right? So Rudolph said that. So the question becomes, the assemblage of taking down these statues versus the legacy of what those people represent and what they've done and who they affected. Okay? See, they'll tell you stuff like, now, one of the videos you've seen went back to 2017 when you seen them out there talking about, oh, they want to come out there and see the statue for his last time. That had already been 3 years ago. They were talking about voting on removing it. Okay? And so, you know, they wanted to be, they're not understanding why there was not an open and transparent forum for public hearing for everybody to hear this. Why? Because there is, like Rudolph said, there's a secret code amongst them about this particular case. They know that you don't know, that even though that, like they say, the words that are written, give me your tithe, you're poor, allow them to come here in pursuit of life, happiness, and all the other, you know, those blinging type words that got bling to it, shine in your eye, make you feel like, but in actuality, in practice, So let me get more into this, because this here is just the theme to everything else that you're going to see, because we got to talk about, again, the case with, you know, the Amber Guyger situation that came up again. Then there was the Mike Brown situation. There's a couple other things that I want to talk about as we go on. So they talking about this is a 2-foot marble bust of Taney that's sitting somewhere on the outside of the Capitol of the Supreme Court, right? Again, this had been there where they've been there for over centuries, right? Going back from 1810 to 1860. And this Chief Justice Taney, he was the 5th Chief Justice, and he's the one, according they want to put as the blame. You know how these people are. They are the type of people that when they don't want to take the responsibility, when it falls on themselves, they find a fall guy, and we're going to put it on him. He's the one that did it, right? So Judge B. Taney has taken all the credit, all the responsibility of what a decision that was made by 9 Supreme Justice Supreme Court justices, and it was voted 7-2, right? So there were 7 individuals who were yay and 2 that was nay, right? But because he was the chief opinion, and so that means the majority of their opinions was tied into what he had stated. And in hindsight, looking back for them to write in this day, they say, well, they call the decision by the Dred Scott the worst in the Supreme Court history, or in court history in the United States. Let me say that again. That decision that they said that was made by Judge B. Taney in the opinion in the 7-2 is the worst decision in Supreme Court history, right? And so, you know, I had in there, and I don't know, did it see that? I don't know if it showed it or not. Did it? I don't know if I put that in there. Did I put that in there? I don't know if we've seen it, because again, there was a part in there that should have shown where the descendants of him, right? There was the descendants of this J.B. Taney who met with the descendants of Dred Scott, and they apologized to them, right? They took the apology from the Taney family to the Scott family. But that case is bigger than just the Scott family. You get what I'm saying? It's kind of like how they did with the Tuskegee experiment. When Bill Clinton, in this so-called apology that was made, and they only said, well, we apologize to the family. See, you narrow it down. But it was bigger than just the family, because that's the only one you got caught. Where else in the nation was this also going on that we ain't gonna never get until somebody one day who works in a particular field and come across some kind of documents and papers and then decides to release or bring it to public. Then we'll find out that it was more. You ain't gonna tell me that in one place that you're doing this kind of research and study that it was not going on wherever else people of BADOS was. So the same thing here when we're talking about this Supreme Court case that was also infamously known as the Dred Scott case. Implication was not just the Scott family. That was for everybody who fit under what that opinion had said. And I'll talk about more about that opinion as I go on. And so you had, you got Baltimore, you got different states who are removing the statue, or at least, again, the symbology of it. But again, we have to look at what Rudolph said, that there's a secret code. And so how is it that if you say that in 1866 that you had civil rights, that black folks, black Americans had civil rights, but 100 years later you had to come back again in 1965 and talk about now you got civil rights? See, somebody has always been playing games. That's just the way it has always been. And so we have to say what Judge Taney said, right? Is that fact? Is it the fact? Is that the hidden? Is that where the game? Is that where the crux of the game at? Is that where it's at? Huh? Are we to act like that's not where it's at? Huh? That when you go back and you look at what he was talking about, the plea and abatement. And he was talking about how the constituent members of this sovereignty, right? That word sovereignty. And there's the Moore Science Temple mothers who talk about that, about having your nationality and sovereignty in the nation and all that, right? So here was in 1857, when you go back and you look at that majority opinion that was written by Chief Justice Taney, this is what he was talking about. And he was saying emphatically that we think they are not included. Were not intended to be included. Now, why would we as BADOS, now I know there's a lot of our people who say, well, that's what you said, Master. Your words say that, right? And so because your words say that, you have to include me. But here was Judge Taney telling you the heart, mind, and soul of the spirit, because a lot of them said that most of these judges were pro-slavery, right? They were pro-slavery. And whenever they're going to be honest, which they're never going to be honest with you, right? Rudolph done told you. To say that in the North that they was not for slavery is a lie. It is a lie. The only reason why the North and the South got into it is because of why? The South was dealing with their so-called mother country, using its products and dealing with them and not dealing with those in the North. So here's the North trying to replicate what was going on in the mother country in the industrial, trying to come to this industrial revolution, trying to make this machinery factory, but you can't get no products cheap because in the South wasn't dealing with you. So now you got basically two countries going on here. Lincoln told you in the debate with Douglas that he didn't get shit, care about whether blacks were free or not. He done said that the black man was nowhere equal and that he was subordinate. The same conversation that Judge Taney is writing in his opinion. Matter of fact, for a fact, you got Judge Taney is the one who was swearing in Abraham Lincoln. Let me say that again, when you swear the president in and you got that Chief Justice there, guess who's the one that's swearing him in? It is Judge Taney, right? Who's swearing in Lincoln, right? So again, even when you look back in hindsight and listen at the words that Abraham Lincoln said, he told you what he truly felt. But somehow we today, because again, somebody trying to clean house and trying to arrange it in a way, even though the game is being played, even if you want to say what's written says it's not, but the way it's been perpetuated this whole damn time, what all this, that's the culmination now, what do you think this is all about? If you saying that the words that when you say, well, we went back and we gave you the 14th Amendment, 13th, 14th, 15th Amendment, and that abolished it. But they told you in the game, they told you about the executive, the judicial, the legislative, and that the judicial could not, by the executive nor in legislation, be eradicated. So what you did is try to reinterpret it. But it never took away the original decision. This is where the game has always been at with us. Huh? They told you. Now think about it again. Like I said, some of our people are good hearted. They just think, oh, you wrote this, master. Master looking at you like, well, nigga, where was you when I wrote this? Wasn't you in slavery? Wasn't you in bondage? Did I not look at you as 3/5 of a human being? Did I not consider you an animal? Why would I be writing that? And that's what the same thing with Judge Taney was saying, right? That therefore claim none of the rights and privilege that this instrument that they call the Constitution secures to citizens of the United States. Has that not been our fight the whole time? When you talk about those fighting of the 50s and the 60s, eating, drinking getting on buses, what was all that about? See, some people say that the wrong move was about civil rights. It should have never been about civil rights. It should have been about human rights. But teach his own. Again, you try to move in a way that so when you stumble and make a mistake, you learn from the mistake and then you come back and try to clean it up and do the right way. But the problem is nobody has picked up that baton. We've just been saying that, okay, now somehow that you gave you some rights, that we sit in this limbo status. Because again, if you watch the other two shows, I told you once Lincoln did that Emancipation Proclamation, which is the reason why they went and studied that video and shut down this whole channel, because they do not want you to understand that they put you in a statelessness, what they call de facto statelessness position, which means you are in a gray area that, again, when you go back and listen to what Judge Taney said, you know that the words that he are talking and what he expressed himself is the game that they're playing. It has always been the game that they play, and they want to act as if that's not how the game it is, because why? They said the time that when they was writing all this, they considered us as what? Subordinate and inferior class of beings who had been subjugated by the dominant race. All the time when they do these census, they always got you a smaller number. And they always been considered what? The dominant race. And then here you is all the time under certain situations, just like we talk about qualified immunity. Who wrote that? Who the one gave that to be able to do that? Once again, the Supreme Court did that, right? Here it is, the Supreme Court, the highest court of the land, is the same one that did what? Gave them immunity, gave them impunity. Huh? So we're not to look at this and say, wait a minute, hold on. They was talking about this is the law of the land. So is the game in the law? That's what the game is, y'all. The game is in the damn law. And so here they saying, Taney said it straight, clean, plain as day. You know what he said? He said, whether emancipated or not. Let me say that again. He said, a subordinate inferior class of beings who had been subjugated by the dominant race, whether emancipated or not, remain subject to their authority. So it don't matter if Lincoln had emancipated you. It don't matter if they put in the 14th Amendment, slavery is abolished. You have no rights, privilege, but that of those who hold the power, and government might choose to grant you, us. Huh? Let me say that again. You, as emancipated or not, you are subject to the authorities. You have no rights or privilege, as he said, that no white man is bound to hold or uphold or validate, because it go all the way back to when this original decision was made. You don't believe me? Why did Why did this? Why did he say this? Why did he say this? Huh? Why did he say this? Why did he say this? Why? Hold on. Yeah, put that there. Go there. Give us that. Yeah, go ahead and give it to us. Why did he say this? Why did he say this? Why did Mike Huckabee say Dred Scott still law of the land? Why did he say that? Why did Mike Huckabee say Dred Scott still law of the land? Why? Because this here has never been done away with. It is as Rudolph say, the secret code that they move around and look at you. They don't say, and they just look at you. And they know damn well this country, as you heard the individual sitting there saying that, oh, well, Taney said this country is only for white folks. Well, what the hell we been fighting the whole damn time if that ain't true? That white folks, this is their country. They're saying if you don't like it, they tell you to go back. You're not patriotic. Everything as to how they see it. It's not about what's right or wrong. It's how we invert, how we interpret it, and what this country represents about what we want. Think about it. Think about that. Think about that. Right? And so he goes and says that as long as they're the dominant race, you are subjugated to them. And probably even if they're not the dominant, because they're going to be all in a position of places so that they can keep wielding power. Whether you're emancipated or not, you will remain subject to the authorities with no rights or privilege, but that those that the power of the government might choose to grant you and I. He said the Declaration of Independence is equally conclusive to what he's saying. And then he going on and he talked about how the course of human events become necessary for one people to dissolve the political bands. What are you talking about? Dissolving. Dissolve, to go away, break the ties, have no more relationship with you. Those that was connected to each other, we're going to now dissolve that and assume the power of the earth. The separate and equal stations to which the law of nature and nature's God entitled them. But yet, when Nick Cannon got on there and started talking about how melanin and something that deficiency and, but you can't say that when it comes to them. But they wrote this. This was the Supreme Court of the land wrote this about us. That God in the nature has ordained them supreme of everybody. Right? And that they have the right to separate from us. And see, that goes to show you that when we look back in history and we start looking at the fact that talking about what our ancestors, and some of them are still alive, and the movement that they were trying to do and trying to be, sitting in restaurants, eating, exchanging, and look what we gave up for that. So that's how we know, looking in hindsight, that the move that we did trying to integrate was not the move we should have been doing. Now, we respect them for what they did and what they were trying to do and what they were trying to establish, and what we respect that, because those are our ancestors and they are I and we are them, right? But in that exchange, we lost a lot. So we had to give up a lot of ours in order. So this now, you gave this full authority on us. And so they say that the opinion of mankind requires that they should declare the causes which impels them to the separation. They're never going to tell you why they separate from you or why they got their issues with you. They can put all the right they want. They can all sit in your face and say that, but the truth of the matter, they ain't going to never sit there and tell you the real truth of why they do what they do, because that's what Rudolph done told you. Not trying to share with you in nothing. Their whole existence is to keep you in the position they got you and run it till the wheels fall off. But a lot of people like to say, we hold these truths to be self-evident that all men are created equal. Yeah? Is that so? Because how is it that you could be How can one subjugate one and try to put and deem another one to be inferior, subordinate, an animal, and yet say the same words that they say, talking about truth and all men are created equal. Now, when he say all men, are he talking about white men? He's talking about all white men. Because he ain't talking about you, because at the position when the time he writing this ain't about you. You was in another position under another title that he deemed you under. And he said that endowed by their creator with certain unalienable rights. Among them is life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Love, everybody loves saying that. Whoa, life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. But when they wrote that, it had not you in their mind when they were writing that. So we're going to give you some of these things here. We're going to give you life according to the way we deem you should have life. Right? You get too much, we'll start taking away. Your liberty, a discretion as to what we feel, your movement, your free speech, those things. Your pursuit of happiness. If I see your teeth too white, you smile too big, I have the authority and power invested in me to do what? Because I govern, I have the right to deprive your powers. I am your God. And yet they want you to believe that when you made the 14th Amendment, 15th Amendment, 13th Amendment, by saying slavery, all born, but this is not the white psychology that permeates majority of you. Is that what they want to do? Oh no, that was them at that time. Everybody is, very they again shy it off somebody else, but never you. And yet in the day we is 2020, the same fighting, the same issue is still on the table. So we have to say, what is it that keeps it there? What is it that they know that you don't know? Well, it got to be this, right? Because they always talk about rule of law, rule of law. Do you know what I'm saying? They say rule of law. So the game is in the law. And so if that was the scent, that was the opinion, that was the mindset, what changes that? Because no one will make you change. This is their own opinions and thoughts and how they looked at you. When does that ever go away? Because you wish it to be? That's what you want. You're going to wish it to go away. If we kill them with love, but they don't want to give you the book to tell you about the love that you're supposed to be subscribing to. And they told you, if I take Rob out of that pocket, you give me the other one. If I punch you in that cheek, you give me the other cheek. Right? Again, as we did the last show, we're talking about how to defending yourself and how he would make sure that you would be defenseless. And then consider himself, he's courageous. He's courageous and brave because he's attacking the people who can't defend themselves. This is who he's dealing with here, right? But then now he want to tell you, oh, that was them, that wasn't me. That was them, that wasn't me, right? So he said if you embrace the whole human family, right, in a similar instrument of this day, they probably understood it, right? Maybe today you might understand it if you see that's what they're talking about right now. Look how they moving when they're talking about reforming. Look how they're moving. I seen the other day, I think it was Shaq, Kenny, and Charles Barkley. And Shaq sat there and said, changes. What changes? What reforms? Because they said they're going to take off the damn chokehold. You take the chokehold off, everything good. Now you done took the damn chokehold. Oh shit, that's way better. Life way gonna be better now that they don't do a chokehold on me and find a new damn technique to do on you. Huh? Ain't that something, man? We try to find things that don't exist. Superstition, believe in things that you don't. right? Superstition in the way. You want to believe that is there and it don't even exist in order to give you some solace of mind, right? Talking about the enslaved Africans with race were not intended to be included. Excuse me. The enslaved African race were not intended to be included. Form no part of the people who framed and adopted this declaration. Is he wrong when he says that? Is he lying when he say that? Because in order for you, now this is a kick in the head. If, let's say, for instance, you write a document. Matter of fact, I'll give you a perfect example. Okay. We know Kobe Bryant lost his life, right? And Kobe had, left a will for his children. Now, at the time that when Kobe wrote his will, leaving his inheritance to his children, the baby hadn't been born yet. But the baby had been born, but he had not went back and revised his will. So the mother had to petition to get her included. Meaning, yeah, he didn't write, but based on the simple fact that he knows that this is his child, when he wrote for his children, he meant all of them. Right? So we're going to go back and we're going to include all of them. Right? Put her name in there because this is his child. Right? So meaning, if you say all, right? When you say all, why do you have to go back and rewrite something and try to reinterpret it when the word all means all? Why is it that your all don't mean all? Your all means all who? You, when not you. So in order for me to make these extensions or these add-ons to include you means then the word that I'm using is being separate from you. So that's how you know there's a game running here. And so in order for you to eradicate this game, then that means that whole thing got to be demolished, right? Why everybody keep holding on to the Constitution when in the Constitution it separates you? It's not inclusive with you. You're making an amendment. You're adding me in. Why can't the words in itself just be all inclusive? Because they know, just like Taney when he wrote, that did not pertain to you. And so, with that being said, and then again, leaving you in a statelessness position, when you was emancipated, you stuck in limbo. And so you wonder why the situations are constantly keep happening to you is because the way this game has been put on you and they got you sitting here like you actually playing the game and you like, no, when we're ready to pull the rug from up under you, when it's convenient for us, we will do it. You're kind of like a child to them who think he knows what he's doing. And again, because you got more knowledge and experience of the game, the child might think somehow he out slicking you. And you're like, you're not out slicking me. I'm just, again, I'm allowing you to do certain things. But if you get too much out of pocket, you get a little bit too a nuisance, remind you with this. And we see this happen a lot of the times. As a matter of fact, as I go on more in the show, we're going to see more, right? So it was the opinion of this court. They even talking about how the act of Congress, which even at that time prohibited citizens from holding and owning property of this kind in the territory of the United States. Right? That's another thing. Can we do that? I want to play that. Go play this. Because see, you know when they did the Dred Scott situation, when they talk about how the story is that Dred Scott was taken and went into Missouri and in the Illinois territories, and then because him being there, it's supposed to be a free state, that somehow Dred Scott was to be able to use that and be able to free himself, right? But the question becomes, did Judge Taney really lie when he said that they ruled in error when they gave him his freedom, and then it went back and repealed, and they took it back, and then he went to the Supreme Court, and then they made that decision. And they said based on the error by trying to give him his freedom when he shouldn't have been, because it did not apply to him, because according to the way the Constitution is, you cannot be a citizen. And the question I'm asking is this. Yeah, ever heard of the Louisiana Purchase, right? You don't heard of the Louisiana Purchase, right? So he wrote, when they purchased that supposedly, and I don't even believe that shit. I don't believe that shit. I don't believe that Napoleon sold you for $15 million the Louisiana Purchase, because he was dealing with what he was dealing with. He ain't had time for that. It ain't like he could jump on fucking TWA and United Airlines and fly back. He didn't have that shit at that time. So he's dealing with Haiti. He's dealing with the shit that's going with Britain. You know what I'm saying? He's dealing with a lot of shit. He ain't had time for that. But you did some representative, and that did some, and they gave you some deal. But the portion that you got was a little portion of that. It was a little bit of portion of that. And the rest of that you had to colonize. You had to go in there. And again, as you say, you being a dominant force, and this Constitution is going to grant you the power to be able to do that, right? But the question I'm talking about here is this. So they say that in the territory, when they went up in there, the territory that they got out the Louisiana Purchase, there was 60,000 people, according to what they say. 30,000 of them was African American. Let me say that again. They say 60,000 was in the territory, they're saying Indians, Native Indians, Americans, what do you want to call, and there was 30,000 black Africans. Now, that means that who ended up buying this land, right? This Louisiana Purchase. The government bought it, right? According, they said there was Thomas Jefferson and some Livingston and a couple other people. They got together, got them to get the funds, and they was able to purchase this land, right? And so if this is acquisition land that is part of the United States, does that not also apply to the Constitution? Because if you're talking about in the North, this is new territory that they just acquisition. So wouldn't Taney decision about y'all can't say that it can't be no slavery based on the simple fact that this was part of the Constitution when they wrote, when Thomas Jefferson was the one who was the one acquisition this land? So did he lie? I don't think he lied about that, right? But again, we know now, going back in hindsight, they want to try to revise and talk it the same way. And then they will say that this was the spark that got to the Civil War. Because it said, well, you know, this decision, I'm going to say straight up BS. It's just BS. I don't believe that. I don't think it had nothing to do with it. But that's what you want to tell, because again, everybody want to act like everybody was not down with the game, right? Everybody was down with the game until it was affecting their business. Then it was like, well, you guys' business going to get bigger than I, and then you're going to put us out of business. We can't have that, right? So the question becomes, did Taney, what he said, was it true or not? And if it was true or not, then how everybody trying to come back now talking about reinterpreting and taking away when that was the mindset and has always been the mindset of this country ever since? And we can show today, in this day and age in 2020, that the same stuff that he was talking about when he wrote that opinion back in 1857 is the same stuff that's happened to us right here to this day. Is it not? Well, let me show you what I'm talking about then. Let's go ahead and get up into this. I'm going to come back. I'm going to touch that some more. So, you know, the other day, August 9th, was a 6-year anniversary. And let me go ahead and show you this, and we should be right back after this.
Shot this boy outside my apartment. They kill him.
He didn't have to do him like that. He didn't have no gun.
The young woman who shot that video and whose voice you heard, Piaget Crenshaw, she joins us now. She's here with her attorney, Karen Lewis. Ladies, thank you so much for being here. Piaget, I am so glad to speak to you. You were there that night. You can tell us from a very different perspective what went on because you witnessed it all. You waited until now to release this video. Why is that?
Well, because more importantly, concerned with my safety, of course, and because the media didn't release the name until several days after it happened. So we want to kind of, yes, Darren Wilson. We want to kind of put this name with the face, and I think this is relative information to most people.
You mentioned that you were concerned about your safety. Did you have reason to fear?
Well, I didn't, but just thoughts from my attorney, maybe I should just hold back. Yeah.
What is going through your mind as this all is happening? Take me back to the moment. Why did you feel a need to record what was going on outside the window?
Okay, from it all initially happening, I knew this was not right. I knew the police shouldn't have even been chasing this young boy and firing at the same time. And the fact that he got shot in his face, it was something that clicked in me like, no, somebody else needs to see this. This isn't right. I got to record.
So you pulled out your cell phone camera and started rolling. How long after it all happened? You saw the whole scenario played out, right?
Yes, ma'am. But I waited a good 30 seconds. I had to run in the house, get my phone, hurry up. It's kind of cracked up on the camera and just start recording what I saw.
So walk me through that.
30 seconds. So what we're looking at is Officer Darren Wilson to the right. He's just looking over the body, just looking baffled and bewildered of sorts, like trying to explain to the officer what had I just done. And then we get this picture of him pacing back and forth, just like in disbelief. So it's like he understands that he just shot this boy in the face and that this boy was unarmed. And to me, this video just seems relative for this time period, especially including the fact that Chief Jackson said that the reason that this video wasn't even on the media at the time when it should have been was because he wanted to get all the information out at the same time, under the Freedom of Information Act, but they could have easily given these videos as well because they confiscated my phone.
So let's go back to that in a second. So take me back to the moment when you see a tussle at the police cruiser. What was going on? What happened?
Okay, well, from my point of view, I could not tell exactly what was going on, but it just looked as if he was trying to pull him almost into the car.
Who pulled? The officer pulled Michael into
Brown.
The car.
It just looked like he was trying to do such, and Brown being a bigger fella, that didn't seem to have been working, so of course he got away, and it just seemed to have upset the officer.
And then what happened?
Got out his van and just started chasing after the boy. I'm hearing shots fired. Clearly none of them hit him, but one I think did graze him, as they say on the autopsy report. And at the end, he just turned around after, I'm guessing, he felt the bullet graze his arm. He turned around and then was shot multiple times. And
the autopsy is now showing that he was shot from the front, not the back.
Exactly.
Does that square with what you saw?
Definitely, because he was running away. So when he turned towards the cop is when he let off the most shots.
So now let's go to the point where I hear your voice. You sound really upset.
I haven't even lived there a month. I had just moved there out of my parents' home, and to see something like this outside of my window as I'm trying to go to work.
So we are back, right? So protesters gathered outside Ferguson Police Department on anniversary of Michael Brown's death. Let me say that again. Protesters gathered outside Ferguson Police Department on anniversary of Michael Brown's death, right? As you've seen in the video, seen that sister sat there and tell you the play-by-play of what she observed based on not what we heard, but what she know, right? So just remember what she said, right? So it looks like it was on Sunday that the protesters had demonstrated outside the Ferguson Police Department. This will be the 6th anniversary of the police killing of Michael Brown, right? Claimed there was about 100 people who gathered outside, and ultimately they said that about 4 protesters were arrested for failure to disperse. Ain't that something? Now they out there protesting, and I guess they didn't like that in front of the business, and create a situation and end up arresting 4, right? And so we all kind of remember, this is going back, 2014, August 9th of 2014, when most of us heard this go across and reverberate through the ethers, and that we all came aware of this situation. And then there was the whole building of the situation. I did a video on this, and I went back in my archives, and I don't know if many of you who might have seen the video that I did on it, but you know what? They removed my video. They removed my video because I said exactly what all the evidence had put together. And when you think about, what was his name? Dorian Johnson. Remember, they discredited him, right? That was the brother that was with Michael Brown that day. And he was able to testify on his behalf, but they discredited him, ended up putting him in jail, and even said he perjured and lied. But that sister, what you just seen on that video, what about her testimony? She said what she saw, right? Had lawyered and everything, and said that from her recollection, what she viewed, she don't know how it started, but what she's seen is Michael Brown trying to pull himself away from the vehicle, got away from him. Because, again, going back, they talked about how Darren Lewis shot in the car. The bullet went through the door. He shot, because, again, remember, he said he went for his gun and his taser. But going back to Dorian Johnson said they pulled him aside, and, now, let me go back a little bit on recollection of this story. According that Darren Wilson was supposedly already at some kind of situation, and in that situation, he supposedly heard on the radio about the so-called burglar in progress, right? Now, remember this. Think about this. It was a burglary in progress, and he's leaving a situation that he wasn't called to come, but he's done with that, and since he's in the vicinity, he's going to go. And as he's on his way to a burglary in progress, he sees Dorian Johnson and Michael Brown jaywalking in the middle of the street. That he, according to what he said is, he told them to get out of the street, or get out of and get on the street. Okay? Out his window. Right? Then he says that the description came back that matched Michael Brown, right? Now again, normally what they do is they would release the 911 call from the store, right? You can get the dispatching, all that information. None of that came out. None. Now this Black Minds News, when we get in there, we seek for that, right? But we didn't see none of that. So they had the grand jury, and whatever was said in there, that was closed off to the public, and we didn't get all that, right? But we know that's what had been said. Then Dorian Johnson had said what he said. He said as the vehicle came and kind of blocked them off, and he told them from out the window, and then he tried to, get out the car, abruptly. And as he getting out, he's hitting Michael Brown with the door. And so I guess the force of him pushing and bouncing off of him pushes the door back on him. Okay. So now in the situation, he tells him, come here, right? He comes to the door, and somehow, as the sister said, you see him trying to grab him, pull him in, right? But no one never talked about how he shot from inside the car at the door, and it went through the door where he would have been standing. Nobody want to talk about that, right? And so from that, he gets away, as the sister said, he runs. She said he ran. He says this Darren Wilson jumps out the vehicle, chases him, and starts firing at him. Did you not hear her say that? Remember, these ain't my words. This is what you just heard her say on that report. firing shots at him. She said, according to the autopsy, she said maybe one of the bullets must have grazed him. No, nigga, somebody shooting at you. That's police. That nigga shooting, trying to kill me. So he stops and turn around, she says. And then just shoot and kill the boy. And that was her. Now all this other stuff that he bulked up like he was like the bullets were going through him. Bulked up. But you said like the bullets going through him. So you shooting him before he bulked up because he getting angry at you because you trying to kill him? Right? So what happened? Then, right? You see what you seen on the video, him laying in the middle of the street, dead, right? 6 years ago, right? And so we see it back in hindsight again. Michael Brown was 18 years old, right? Said he shot him in self-defense. The police officer's word over you as a black de facto stateless person, which a white man is not bound, and he has qualified immunity. And then y'all say that what was done and what was said is not true. That is not the real understanding of how y'all operate in this land. So when you go back and look at the St. Louis County prosecuting attorney, which was Wesley Bell, he was the one who declined to charge the officer after reinvestigating the case. Why? We're going to go back and we're going to reconstruct this and we're going to come up with a better way to say this. And guess what? What Judge Taney said in 1857 is it still persisting to this day. Did Mike Huckabee lie and say that, you know what? Dred Scott still law the land. Meaning, for you black people, it's still there. Don't think it went away. Because you got to understand how that game go. And once you understand how that game go, then you be, oh shit. Yes, that's the way it's at. So again, it was 6 years ago, on the 9th. They believe the community was robbed. Now this was the Ferguson police chief, Jason P. Armstrong. He said this, right? He said that the community was robbed. The nation was robbed. Robbed of what? What was they robbed of? Justice? That, you know, you have people who have jobs, who have, you know, whatever tendencies, they negative or racist tendencies in them, and they be able to cloak themselves and use their job and the privileges that come and rights that come with it to be able to get off to do certain things. At your discretion, with impunity, right? So we just keep persisting on and on and on and on, right? And so when they talk about the event that took place, they talk about how the 4 protesters who ended up becoming arrested. Now again, the officers were out there wearing helmets, holding shields, right? Wait a minute, this a commemorative, you know, anniversary. But because the hostility is due to the simple fact of the injustice, you in preparation because you feel like, you know, they out there, they're going to be saying stuff. And so, you know, this is a good opportunity to antagonize and get something off. Maybe we go ahead like what was in Philadelphia. We're going to whoop some niggas tonight, right? So you see, they had erected these barricades made of bicycle racks. They fastened them together. And they also talked about that they had received assistance from some surrounding agencies. Now, I wonder who that was. They never disclosed who that was. And there were some surrounding agencies that were there to help them to maintain the crowd. Are they some kind of officers, duly, you know, saying authorized? Who are these secretive individuals out there? Now, according to what they said that the protest was throwing bottles and metal screws and wooden sticks at officers, right? Spray painting on signs and stuff like that. But that's about as far as they're going to be able to go with that. They ain't taking nobody's life. So the life that was taken compared to that, we're trying to make that equivalent. See, look what, huh? So what they end up doing is, again, like I say, when you have a repertoire of a system to be able to go in your bag of tricks, to come up with something to be able to apprehend somebody, guess what they end up using on those who, accordingly, they said that were throwing these objects at them, right? Well, the police had declared an unlawful assembly. Wait a minute. They're commemorating an anniversary of something that this department should know what it's about, but you called it an unlawful assembly. Started to spray the crowd with pepper spray to get them to disperse, as y'all say. And then they even wanted to report the fact that one of the four was charged with, he got arrested because he had a arrest warrant. See, that's how much it meant to him that even though he had an arrest warrant, he probably either forgot or maybe he knew, but the situation of what took place with Michael Brown was worthy of him to go out there to add to the fact that what had took place. So you got to go back because you got to remember that was August 9th of 2014. Right? Remember Michael Brown was only 18 years old. He's a junior. His father was Michael Brown Sr., right? And so you had a 28-year-old white Ferguson police officer named Darren Wilson, right? And again, like I said, he was accompanied by his friend, who was Dorian Johnson, who was 22. And how they once again, just to give you, the play-by-play on that again, it was, now, Wilson said the whole altercation ensued, he said, when Brown attacked Wilson in his police vehicle, right? Man, make sense to us, man. Black folks don't, we as BADOS, black men, we don't attack no damn police. We may go the other damn direction. Hopefully your ass ain't fucking with a motherfucker. Unless I know I'm conspicuous because I done did some shit, that's different. But if I ain't trying to hide from it, I just don't want you fucking with me to put me in a situation I don't need to be in, then yeah. But am I just going to come up to you and just attack? This is how that sounds. You just came up to me and attacked me in my damn vehicle. But for some people, that's sufficient enough because you believe all the, it's like saying, for instance, you know how that whole shit in history came about white folks talking about how black folks or gorillas being birthed by black people. Because when the first white man brought his ass over into Africa and ain't never seen a damn gorilla before, this demented, something wrong with his damn mind, assessed in his mind that gorilla came out of a black person. But these people tell you they high IQ and they rationale and they way smarter than everybody else. But look at the shit when you go back and look at the shit. That's the kind of shit you talk. Oh, see this big hairy thing. Birthing those things. And you took that back. This ain't like today when you got the internet and all that news. They going back because they done sailed to some other place different from the damn shithole that they came from. And they come back with these fantastic selling stories and they start selling that shit. And the next thing, that shit spread around. So here comes a firm belief of a myth ass shit, and this how y'all do it, right? So you would believe that an individual, based on the story and the way the perpetuating of that damn news and talking about how black people are criminals and robbers and all that shit, so you would believe that a black man would just come and attack a damn policeman for no damn reason. He just gonna come at him and do that, right? Oh shit, boy. And so Wilson said that, he said the police were control of Wilson's gun until it was fired. He said, wait a minute, he said, Wilson said that the altercation ensued when Brown attacked Wilson in his police vehicle for control of Wilson's gun until it was fired. He said he went for his gun. You ain't got gun, and you trying to take a motherfucker who got a gun, who got qualified immunity to shoot you, then you got to be the most craziest nigga that ever on the damn planet, right? Unless you're in a situation where you ain't got no choice. You trying to kid me, and I ain't got no choice. I got to do what I got to do. But other than that, you're not going to initiate that. But some people believe that, right? Because, again, Rudolph done told you the secret code with one another. Stick together. No matter what. And so, Dorian claimed that Wilson initiated confrontation by grabbing Brown by the neck through his car window. Isn't that the same thing that you seen the sister on that video say? That she seen that? I don't know whether the neck or was it by the, the chair or whatever, but that's what Dorian said, right? And said that he was threatening him and then shooting at him, right? Now, look what Dorian said and then look at what that sister said. Are they in synchronicity? Because did he get a chance to talk to them? No. He didn't know what they were going to say. He was only stating what he said, right? And that's where the whole slogan came from, hands up, don't shoot, right? That's where that whole beginning of this hands up, don't shoot originated with the Michael Brown situation, right? And so to debunk that, they had to make Dorian to be a liar. They went and got other people to collaborate. There were so many other people who ended up dying because of what? A lot of those stories in the background of that happened on here, right? And so Dorian said at this point, Wilson and Johnson, he said, they both fled from him because this nigga's shooting. So Wilson is pursuing Brown. He said Brown stopped. Charge him after a short pursuit. This is what Wilson states. See, what did Dorian say? Because look at what that sister said. The sister said he was running and stopped to turn around and you gunned him up. None of the shit that you say he turned his entertainment and attacked you. But yeah, he turned around. Who gonna attack you and you got a gun? He already got some distance to you. And you're shooting at him. And he like, I better just stop because this nigga gonna kill me. Turn around. And then you heard what you heard. You heard the video, what the woman was saying in the heat after the moment it took place. But again, black people always lying. We always make up these situations because why? Because the guilt that you hold of the shit that y'all know y'all been doing. And you don't want to see yourself for the monster in the goddamn mirror. So we have to make us to be liars. But when it's your turn to stand before the Creator, can you use that collaboration of white people, stick together code? Will it work then? Will it work? He let off 12 bullets. 2 in the struggle, 10 other. And they said 6 of them struck him in the front of the body. Crazy, right? It's just funny, man, that we have to make all this stuff up. We never telling the truth. It's just a figure of our imagination. You don't, these are not the things you hide by. You don't believe that this country is about you, for you, about you, nobody else. All the time. Sad, man. The only people gonna know the truth, Dan Wilson, Dorian Johnson, Michael Brown. Well, he already there. It's only a matter of time when you gonna get there, Wilson. Only you know the nightmares that you have every night when you sleeping and all that drugs you gotta take because of what you did. You know what you did? We know the court, because the court can deem you to be innocent because we understand the game is rigged. But when it's not in your hand, when it can't be rigged, do you fear that day? Do any of y'all feel the day of the retribution when you can't use your privilege to hide behind? That's the question you got to ask yourself. When you got no immunity, no privilege, when it can't work, what happens to you then? Moving on. All right, give me gonna do the break. Gonna do the break. All right, we are back, right? As you seen on your screen there, right? You see that there, don't you? It says Amber Guyger's defense appeal wants conviction of lesser charge in Botham Jean's killing. Let me say that again. Amber Guyger's defense appeal wants conviction of lesser charge in Botham Jean's killing. Okay. Yeah, I know. Yeah, you know, this is, it's wild, right? I mean, it's really just what it is, right? It is what it is, right? We see that Amber Guyger's defense team is appealing her conviction from last year, claiming that the charge had been criminally negligent homicide instead of murder. Let me say that again. Now, her defense team, Amber Guyger, they're appealing her conviction. They're claiming that the charge that should have been instead of murder should be criminal negligence homicide. A lesser charge would possibly mean Ms. Guyger could be released on parole. So they talked to Botham Jean's mother. She feels furious about it. I know she feels furious about it, right? Now again, I made that thumbnail not because I was trying to make fun, but it's actually a representation because think about that, man. I think I need to show that. Don't I need to show that? Yeah, show that. Go ahead and show that. I need to see that. Right? Think about that. Right? You got the son doing what he doing. You got the judge doing what they doing. It's kind of like, you know, where they at? They in Botham Jean's apartment, right? They in Botham Jean's apartment, and the mama catching these two in the act, right? Catching these two in the act, right? Like pleading to God, like what's really going on here, right? Can you believe that? That's just like them being at the crime scene and them both doing that. Show us in reverse of something like this. Show us the reversal. But you can't find it. Right? Bet you can't find it. It really made me question the nerve of Amber Guyger. This is what the mother said. And her attorneys to even think of wanting to file an appeal. See, it's not about morals with them. It's not about morals. They say rule of law. What does the law say? The law says that, okay, we tried her. You found her guilty, right? And in that guilt process is that we can't file an appeal. But we got some things that we can use that's going to actually help us, right? We got some things that's going to actually help us. And it was you guys. You guys helped us, right? And you know who really lost, besides the fact that Botham Jean lost his life? somebody who lost his life because he was doing what he thought was the best thing to do, even though the situation behind the scenes was need you to do this, otherwise this other stuff that you got pending, we're going to hold this on you. So kind of forcing his hand, right? He decided he's going to go ahead and do what he thought he needed to do. Just kind of like that sister did with the Michael Brown situation, and she gave you the play-by-play. Well, let's go back to this case here when we talk about the Amber Guyger Botham Jean situation. Let's listen to what he said as he being an eyewitness to what he heard, right, and what he saw. Let's go back and look at that and then wonder, again, people paint us in such a way that I'll talk about afterwards. But check this out. I'll be right back.
Please state your name for the record.
Joshua Brown.
And is that common spelling?
JOSHUABROWN.
Joshua, what college did you attend?
South Florida.
And what was your primary studies in?
Interdisciplinary science.
How many years of college did you complete?
4 years.
Okay. And what did you do once you graduated?
Continued to train and try to play football, and ended up picking up a job. After I graduated college, I started doing roofing. So I was a roofing contractor for a few years.
And what kind of work do you do now?
I try to run in my own business. I manage Airbnbs, and that's about it right now. I manage like 4 Airbnbs, 2 in LA, 1 in Atlanta. I'm trying to get 1 in Dallas now, so that'll be the 4th one. Yeah, that's what I do now.
November 6th, 2018.
Okay.
Where were you residing at that time?
Southside Flats.
What was your apartment number?
1437.
Earlier that day, did you get a visit from the leasing office?
Yes, ma'am.
Can you tell the court about that?
The leasing people came, knocked on our doors, and it was like they had a noise complaint. It was around like 2 p.m. It was kind of odd because there wasn't no noise.
Okay, and you say our doors. When you say our, who are you referring to?
BOTHAM door. They came and knocked on me and Bo's door, and just that's how I actually met him, because he came out the door.
Okay. Conjunction between the 2 hallways, you hear what sounds like 2 people meeting by surprise.
Mm-hmm.
Is that a yes?
Yes, ma'am.
And what made you think that it was 2 people meeting by surprise?
Because I couldn't make out what either one of them was saying. I couldn't tell y'all today that what either one of them was saying. It was like, it wasn't English, so, but I just knew it was 2 people meeting, 2 human beings meeting. So, I mean, that's the only way I could describe it.
Okay. Was it 2 separate voices?
Yes.
Okay. Could you tell if one of the voices was giving loud commands like stop, police, or anything of that nature?
Yeah, but no, that wasn't what they were saying.
That's not what you heard?
No.
Okay. However, you say you didn't hear exactly what you heard.
No, I can't say I heard any type of words that I can make out.
Okay. Once you, in that conjunction between the 2 hallways, and hear the voices and the pop, how soon after the voices did you hear the sounds of gunshots?
Right after.
Right after?
Right after.
It was
right after.
Quick?
Quick.
And the 2 gunshots you heard, were they quick?
They were quick.
Okay. The balcony, did you see anything when you looked outside the balcony?
I seen like, it took a minute, but then I seen her come out.
And when you say her, you pointed over towards the defense table.
Mm-hmm.
Is that a yes?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And did you see the defendant, Amber Guyger, come out?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. What did you observe her doing?
Just on the phone.
Okay. And were you on your balcony looking out the balcony door, or were you looking out the window?
I was looking at the balcony, and then I went to the window.
And you see her on the phone. Can you describe her demeanor?
She was crying, explaining what happened, what she thought happened, saying she came into the wrong apartment, and that was about it.
You were inside your apartment before you heard the defendant in the hallway.
Probably like 2-3 minutes.
At some point, did you go to your front door?
Yeah, I kept looking out my front door.
Did you open the door or were you looking out the peephole?
I was looking at the peephole.
And when you're looking out the peephole, what do you see?
I just see her like going back and forth on the phone, and then I think she went back inside, then came back out.
The first time you see the defendant, she's on the, I guess in the walkway, you're on the balcony, and she's on the phone. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And then she goes back into the apartment?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And then you see her exit out of the apartment again?
Yes.
Okay. Had you ever seen the defendant before on your floor?
No, ma'am.
Have you ever seen her in the apartment complex?
No, ma'am.
Had you met the complainant before that day?
The complainant, you mean?
Botham John.
Both? Yeah, yes. Well, I met him that day.
Okay. Had you ever seen him in the building before that day?
No, I can't say I can't say I seen him. I heard him in there.
Okay. When you say you heard him, what did you mean?
Heard him singing every morning.
Okay. You heard him singing. What kind of things did you hear him sing?
Gospel music, Drake.
And your door is directly across the hall from where Mr. Jones' apartment was, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And so in the mornings, were you inside of your apartment when you heard Mr. Jones singing, or outside of your apartment?
I'll probably hear him when I come out, lock my door. I'll hear him.
Okay. So from in the hallway, you can hear his activities inside his apartment?
Mm-hmm.
Yes? You have to say it out loud, I'm sorry.
Yes, ma'am.
Now approach.
Yes. Here.
Thank you.
All right, we black, right? So that was the testimony of Joshua Brown telling, revisiting what took place on that day. And, you know, it took a lot for him to do what he had to do based on the circumstances he was under. Had no protection, testifying against police. And based on what you heard him say, as he retold the story and said he was at a place to watch football, had relatives that actually played in the NFL, came back. As he was coming back, he heard in the hallway two people talking, and then he heard the gunshots. Okay? And then he gets to his apartment, turns his game on, starts seeing police arrive, looking through the peephole, see what's going down. He see her, he gives you the play-by-play what he's seen with her. And ironically, the first time, according to what his testimony is the first time he's ever met Botham Jean, because somebody from the, I don't know if it's the management office, rental office, came to the apartments about 2 p.m. talking about complaint. He said that was the first time he had actually met Botham Jean. And so in the whole testimony in that, a person who was just doing what accordingly we are not classified as, we're not citizens, but in a sense he was doing what he believed to be the right thing. And based on everything that's going to happen in this case, I thought it was fitting that we at least, as BADOS, give some acknowledgement to this young brother, man. He did what people say you're supposed to do, but when he did it, the scenario they end up creating, tried to put him in, he told you his background, college, he was, B&B, trying to run business, and somehow they took everything that he stated in that courtroom and boiled him down to being somebody with a high-profile case in the country, get caught in a drug deal. In a case that no one is talking about, ain't nothing else has been heard about it. He's gone, Botham's gone, and now you have the officer who's now appealing to lessen the charge. And what Judge B. Taney said about we as black people in this country, is it true? Is it true? And so we know that according to the story that was told, they said that, again, she was given 10 years in prison for shooting and killing Botham Jean. It was inside his apartment back in September 2018. And that at the time that nobody had really revealed, but again, in hindsight, we can go back now because they were kind of keeping all this hush-hush. Come to find out, they said, okay, Guyger lived in the building, and it, made it seem like that she went to the wrong apartment, but she lived underneath Botham Jean. Now, if you go back and listen to what Joshua Brown said, Botham Jean was a, singing type of resident, right? You was hear him singing Drake and singing gospel songs, right? And so you live underneath it, maybe that kind of bothered you. And you being, who they are, again, as they talk about life, pursuit of happiness, your happiness could be bothersome to other people because they don't want to see you happy. Want to be miserable like they miserable, right? So when they said the people came to complain, who they never disclosed who it was that was the complaint from. Like he said, Joshua said it was a mystery to him. He said, now, we might have been up here smoking weed, but we weren't making no noise. And so we have to ask ourselves the question, when Joshua Brown said what he said, was there truth to his statement? That when he came back and he heard in the hallway, was that factual? Right? Was that factual? And so again, as she said, that they mistook her apartment. But, there's a lot of things that when you look back at that situation that, they even talked about, she worked 18 hours that month of overtime. A month? That's 30 days. That ain't even an hour a day. You get what I'm saying? You worked 18 hours that last month, and then she just got off a 12-hour shift. Well, what is a normal 12-hour shift for police? Ain't it 12 anyway, I think? And I don't think they do 9. I don't think they do 9, right? But they threw that in there. So, 18 hours of overtime in a month? That ain't no real overtime if you ask me, right? Ain't no overtime. And so she was tired and the whole thing, right? So, okay. We'll give you that. But, there's some things that, you could just be like, okay, certain markers, right? Like, you just don't miss, right? You're just not supposed to miss that kind of stuff. So let's just say they had brought this in the case, right? That was a red mat that was in front of the door. Right? You don't notice that red mat, that you don't got a red mat on your door? But you ain't even noticed that at all? No, don't even notice the mat was there. No. Right? No, that's impossible. Right? You not mistaken that at all, would you? You be that damn tired? Yeah, somebody need to test to see if you had any drugs in your system, right? Okay. So you missed that too, right? According to what they said the story was, right, that the person came, the door was ajar, right? The door was ajar, right? And you just pushed it and came on in, right? Not strange at all, right? Go in there, somebody sitting down and eating ice cream. Remember, that's what was said, right? Sit down eating ice cream. Let me show you this, what they had put out there. Let me show you this.
And what we expose is shocking. Exclusive new video shows the doors in Botham Jean's apartment complex. They slam shut automatically, disputing Officer Amber Guyger's claim that the door was open when she arrived. All of the doors in the Dallas complex are heavy metal fire doors with 2 deadbolt locks. They open using plastic keys. If the wrong key is used, a red light flashes. When the right key is inserted, the light turns green. And what we expose is shocking. Exclusive new video shows the doors in Botham Jean's apartment complex. They slam shut automatically, disputing Officer Amber Guyger's claim that the door was open when she arrived. All of the doors in the Dallas complex are heavy metal fire doors with 2 deadbolt locks. They open using plastic keys. If the wrong key is used, a red light flashes. When the right key is inserted, the light turns green. And what we expose is shocking. Exclusive new video shows the doors in Botham Jean's apartment complex. They slam shut automatically, disputing Officer Amber Guyger's claim that the door was open when she arrived. All of the doors in the Dallas complex are heavy metal fire doors with 2 deadbolt locks. They open using plastic keys. If the wrong key is used, a red light flashes. When the right key is inserted, the light turns green.
All right, we black, right? So what they end up discovering is that the possibilities of what was stated, how true could that have been? 2 deadbolt locks, fire doors that automatically close themselves. So with that being seen and known, then go back to what Joshua Brown said, what he heard in the hallway. What's more likely that had happened? But see, we lie all the time. We never tell the truth. But reenacting your scenario, what you said, kind of like what Johnny Cocker said, don't fit, you must have quit. So here it is. These are part of the evidence that substantiate whether somebody's lying or telling the truth. And based on you seeing, you make your own determination, what you think. You mean to tell me, based on what you seen that door, how it's just a little flimsy, just pulled a little latch and the door open, that if you came inside, that you don't put no lock on? They say, well, he had just came back from going outside and maybe he just forgot that quick. All kinds of bullshit scenarios to try to, again, no law that a white person is to be held for. Instead of just the fact that maybe you had problems. with somebody. And you decide enough, you was going to confront the situation. Because one thing everybody seems to miss forgetting, did she get in the elevator? Did you get in the elevator and go to the floor, or did you walk the floors? Right? If you got in the elevator, don't you got to punch a button? Or you so disoriented that you didn't even know what button you pushed, right? You don't even know what button you pushed. So here it is. Joshua Brown spoke and said what he's seen and heard. What he said, is it fact that the conversation in the hallway, he opens the door, you at the door, y'all talking, whatever goes down, the next thing you know, pop, pop. There was other people who said they heard talking too in the hallway, but they no more talking to them. There was a sister that somebody did, I remember, I think it was African Diaspora, did an interview with her. I ain't heard no more about that sister either. But see that image that you see on there, that's what this is about. This is where the appeal is coming from. See, but the thing was, Joshua Brown lost his life in this. So the lesson in here is, you see what you see there? You got to hold that in. Oh, I know you're being a good Christian. But see, the same people who say they good Christians too, but they don't feel to be accountable for none of the shit that they ever do. Because you're black and there's no law and there's nothing, and you are in a state de facto statelessness in the gray area, which the rule of law don't want to apply when it comes to you. Right? But you show your compassion. You show all your love, but it's not reciprocal. It don't come back to you. Just give, give, give. It's like somebody being in an abusive ass relationship. You're always buying, you're always giving, another one just taking. And yet you so loyal and hound doggish, you don't even make no damn sense. But Joshua Brown gave his life for that. You got put in a situation that he tried to do what was right. Now he coming back. So now we have to look at what took place in this day. Check this out. I'll be right back.
Sorry. I know I can speak for myself. I forgive you. And I know if you go to God and ask Him, He will forgive you. And I don't think anyone could say it. Again, I'm speaking for myself, not even bad for my family. But I love you just like anyone else. And I'm not gonna say I hope you rot and die just like my brother did, but I personally want the best for you. And I wasn't gonna ever say this in front of my family or anyone, but I don't even want you to go to jail. I want the best for you. Because I know that's exactly what both of them would want you to do. And the best would be give your life to Christ. I'm not gonna say anything else. I think giving your life to Christ would be the best thing that both of them would want you to do. Again, I love you as a person. And I don't wish anything bad on you. I don't know if this is possible, but can I give her a hug, please? Please?
Yes.
Hey, back, right? Oh, yeah, that hurts, don't it? Hurts real good, don't it? Hurts real good. You know, when you under a certain, prescription or doctrine, and you try to hear and live by it, and you try to apply it, right? And as we go back and think about the 1857 Judge B. Taney and his opinion, that 7-2 decision in the Dred Scott case, and how I'm talking about inferior, subordinate people, no laws, no rights, no privilege, only deem what we as governed or right and say that we give you your life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness based on the way we deem it. But it's not reciprocal when they in the wrong and they become that which they wrote about you. But all that they wrote about you, you show something greater than them. Something that you can't see in them doing the same thing. And to a point, they use it as a kickstand because they know something about the psychology, what done happened to us, that somewhere in us, we always have this place of forgiveness. Use it as a get out of card, get out of jail free card. You're doing it out of sincerity. They do it out of necessity because it helps me to get back to what I was doing. So the hug that heard around this country, maybe around the world, a lot of mixed emotions about it. A lot of people think it was part of a, dystopian play. Whatever it was that moment there that allowed for what's happening now. When you said, I don't want you to go to jail. These are literal people. Words, what you said. You don't want her to go to jail. Well, okay. We can grant you that. My brother's rotten. I don't want you to rot. My brother would want for you to just turn your life over to Christ. He wouldn't want nothing to you. But at this particular time, Joshua Brown might have been still living. Not sure, I haven't really synchronized those times. But if you know what happened to Joshua Brown, would that still be your same outcome? Would it still been the same conversation? Because he gave his life too. When just the fact of Botham Jean, Joshua Brown lost his life too. He wished nothing bad for you. What about Joshua Brown? What about him? Just went in the wind with some kind of story that somebody made up. You done grab somebody else. Time will go on. The case will go on. By that time, some people be so, discombobulated with so many other things. The fact that it only be shows like Black Minds News and others who are reporting, went moved on and forgot about it and don't have no stain. But this here, this image here, certain people rely on that. They make laws just like that. They don't. When you on the other end, imagine him being somebody white and you being that person. Would they do that to you? Would they do that to you? Probably not. So you see how the mother was like, if the case is reconsidered, She believed that Guyger should have went to life in prison. This was the mother saying that. But look at the son. The son. She was quoted saying, "How can you kill someone in the comfort of their home and just say, 'I'm sorry'? An apology and you get away with it." I mean, where in the world does that happen? Right here. It happens right here. Now again, I don't, this brother has to hold on whatever he believes in his heart for what he did. That's him. And if he's okay with it, everybody has to be. But it seemed like the mother was on a whole nother way of looking at this. Could you imagine that the mother probably wanted to go up there and maybe smack the shit out of him? But because, right? I mean, he spoke on that behalf. And some people even said that maybe he was persuaded to do that. Because the way that you see Amber Guyger run in his damn arms, when you be thinking the nigga gonna come out with a knife and shank your ass, I mean, right? You be so quick after you know what you done did to get into the, the bosom of the family members of one. Would you be hesitant? Oh no, you ran like Scarlett O'Hara. Frankly, I don't give a damn. On some Humphrey Bogart shit, right? Can't believe that, man. Huh? The mother's like, she like, hold on, wait a minute. I want the same justice that my son was not given up on the situation. Don't believe what you said. There's no way you can convince me. And yet, you're being undermined by your own son. And this here sent out a message to white folks that black folks got forgiveness for you for all that they do, all they have done, and all they will continue to perpetuate to do, as Rudolph say, the secret code that they move under in. But here it is. They talk about murder requires evidence beyond a reasonable doubt that the defendant intentionally or knowingly caused the death of the complainant. Beyond a reasonable doubt. Was that door open? On to the interpretation of the people who, again, will investigate. And then it's like saying, for instance, a police officer, a court stenographer, is a stenographer? Stenographer. And then you have the judge, the bailiff, the clerks. Are they all on the same payroll? Can somebody talk to somebody else that know somebody talking? You understand? They all work in synchronicity, right? So who do an investigation and said that, the door, there was something, they blamed it on the door. They said, you know what? The door's malfunctioned. Well, malfunctioned how? How can the door malfunction? Because they showed you when you put in the key, kind of like hotel doors, right? The green light if the key goes in, right? And the red if it don't. So you saying that you put the wrong key in and it turned green and she was able to get in. But you got 2 deadbolt locks on there. Now y'all saying he had both his locks on. How do we prove it wasn't? You can't. So again, as I said before, the tie goes to the runner. The tie goes to the runner. And so to say defended intentionally, knowingly caused the death, well, that goes what Joshua Brown said. Joshua Brown said, I heard in the hallway the talking, then I heard the pop. So if Joshua Brown is right about what he said, then there was no way you went in with no key and he was sitting there eating ice cream watching football. They go, the floors, and the floors was lacking obvious floor markings that, all this nonsense. So a lot of the residents have been confused about what floor they go on. Well, you know what Botham Jean was smart enough to do? He put a big red ass rug in front of his. So if you ain't got a big red ass rug, then how, even if you went to the door, don't you see? Because you got to put the key in the door. Don't somehow you gonna notice that red, you just that discombobulated and tired? Really? Really? Huh? Really? Crazy, man. Crazy. So here is September 6th of 2018. 26-year-old accountant Botham Jean fatally shot. Again, according to her testimony, is that she had entered into the apartment believing it was her own. Now again, we just seen what they showed at the apartment. 2 bolt locks, and you had to have the key that matches to get it to turn the door. So you're talking about a lot of mishaps to get you in that situation. But yet Joshua Brown said, I heard somebody in the hallway, then I heard the pop-pops right after that. I had just got there in time for that. And here it was, once again, kind of like the Trayvon Martin. Oh, you being the assailant, you accosting him, but all of a sudden now you're the victim. Same thing here. You in your house, in your apartment, and now you believe that you're an intruder in my apartment, but you're wrong. But you're wrong. Then they didn't take her to arrest. It took several days. And they initially charged her with manslaughter. So what happened because of the people having a mistrust in this process? The outrage of the killing of an unarmed African-American citizen? Now, nobody used citizen. We know that ain't true. We know that ain't true. And later on, you charge her with murder. On October 1st, 2019, she was found guilty of murder. The next day, given a 10-year sentence. But here we is now, talking about a lesser charge. So let's go back to that day when she was given a 10-year sentence. Something that blew everybody's damn mind, right? Blew everybody's damn mind.
That truly, again, something I think we could all learn from.
It was a healing moment.
I hope it has that effect. I really do. Because I think he embraced the idea and the concept.
Well, now the judge is talking to Amber. Oh my God, the judge is down there talking to Amber. I just don't think I've ever seen anything quite like this. What do you think's happening right now?
I have no idea, quite honestly. I've never seen anything like this.
We've lost sound. Okay, so this is extraordinary. I feel like we're watching something that I've never seen before. I mean, this moment the hug between Amber Guyger and Botham Jean's brother, and now the judge. It sounded like maybe she was reading a Bible scripture or witnessing somehow. I mean, it's just oh my God, now the judge is hugging Amber Guyger. Okay, this is, I'm starting to lose it again.
Well, and I think that the emotional aspects of this case, and again, without question, it's a tragedy all the way around. The emotional aspects of his case have led to the judge to do something that's very unusual, to have direct attempts to communicate with the family of the victim and the defendant herself on the record. And what I can only suppose is an attempt to try to start some healing for these people. It certainly is difficult, it certainly is extraordinary, it certainly is unusual. It is something that I don't know that I've ever seen before in a trial, this kind of direct communication.
And by the way, my Facebook commenters are saying that the judge gave Amber Guyger a Bible.
And again, I think this is her attempt to try to let there begin some healing.
I'm really having a hard time holding it together here because it's something.
There's a lot of powerful emotion involved in the case for sure, and anytime you see somebody willing to go above and beyond the easy anger, retribution, emotional reaction, that's inspiring. That's something,
you know, from a Christian perspective, that's the Old Testament, the angry God. You know, from a Christian perspective, it's love and forgiveness and loving your neighbor as yourself. It's just, it's an amazing thing that we're witnessing in this courtroom.
And again, a true Christian approach to life and to people is that forgiveness, that true ability to be selfless and give and
back, right? He back, right? So, see, you get two of them, right? You got 2 for 1. You got a judge and you got the brother, right? And think that in itself is not going to be used as some kind of weapon to, show your compassion for their situation. But they sure don't seem to have no compassion when it comes to our situation. You see what, even if those who like to say, well, we had nothing to do with slavery, we didn't do that. But you see what your ancestors have perpetuated and has caused the detriment of a people and caused them to be in the chaos that they're in. But collectively, where's the love and compassion? See, when they said Nick Cannon, when he talked about saying that melanin and the lack thereof makes us savage and lack of capacity, but they got mad for that. But here's the people who've been deemed by this system animals, inferior, subordinate, but somehow they got all the compassion in the world when you dead wrong. But it cannot be reciprocated from you. And so, those families, this is what they asking for. They try to get, matter of fact, the civil lawsuit couldn't even stand. Changed the law up, made it where the department wouldn't be accountable. So now they got no money. Now I'm not saying that money is going to be equivalent to the life of Botham Jean, but based on the way this case went, you got nothing. You gave everything. And now this person's going to still take even more to just really say, you know, as the mother said, I'm sorry what I did and just go on with my life. She believes she should have got life. You took my son's life and you should at least do life. So it's just a matter of time when we're going to see this case and when it come and manifest itself and show that all this not want to go to jail, a judge in the courtroom doing what she doing. But we're waiting on the day when we see this amongst our people. We done seen a black judge dragged up out of the damn courtroom. We seen a black man try to hold a white person accountable for breaking the law, but then he had to renege. And you get what I'm saying? So going back to what Judge B. Taney said, yes, you can now in hindsight try to make him be the bad guy, but is that the mindset and the perpetual of that philosophy been continued all through this time? You will say no, but I'm here to say it has. Well, y'all tell me what y'all think, y'all. I wanted to go ahead because I see people did not touch it. I want to go ahead and put a little something to it. Because the main issue here for me, it's not so much about the Botham Jean family, because again, they did what they had to do. They got the results. Maybe they didn't get it the way they wanted, but they got what they wanted. But I think the biggest loser, besides Botham Jean losing his life, is Joshua Brown. A lot of people say, well, you know, the point it was niggers that came from Louisiana want to buy weed and kill them. I know anything, but it don't be you. We know how it go. We know how it go. Oh, I want to thank each and every one of you for coming and clicking on the video. Again, this is the most hated show in the black corner of the internet. Can you do that, sir? Let's go ahead and do that so we can get up out of here. And, you know, tell me what you think. I just laid out a little bit because I didn't want the anniversary of Mike Brown to go by. I didn't want the story of Amber Guyger, because we'll be doing an update on that because, well, is she going to get the lesser charge? And if she do, she gets the parole and walk up out of there. And like the only person that seen that may have a problem with that is, you know, Botham Jean's mama. We haven't heard anything about Joshua Brown case, family members, none of that. Just seemed to be so we apprehended the 3 and that's going to be it. But I guess the more we keep showing and the more we keep revealing, I guess the more everybody going to be in denial. People said that we're not a part of this system, cannot be a part of this system, put us in a de facto position and still say that what we said is not, what that was said is not true. We abolished slavery. How? If they said in 1807 or 1808 that it was outlawed, but yet you still had people still coming here after that and still being in slavery, I mean, always a contradiction. You say one thing and it be something else. Never straight. Never what you said. It's always, well, try to refix it. And I think you could just keep going on and keep going on and keep going on. Like, who y'all playing with? Oh, y'all playing with us. Well, Creator said he got something for this. He's got the remedy for it. There's only a little bit of time left, y'all. You know what I'm saying? How long can this situation keep persisting? Now you going out here, you get somebody that people, I mean, you went and got 2 people that one built a crime and another one don't mind blocking your ass up. And this is the choice you're going to give versus the other motherfucker. I mean, oh man, you know what? It's crazy, right? So anyway, when you see your brother, greet your brother. What's good, brother? What's good, brother? See your sister? What's good, sister? What's good, sister? If you can't do that much, at least get a universal nod. You know how we do when we see each other. You know, we live in a day and time when we come across these crossroads where some people are seeking for a demise. So it's incumbent that we be our brother and sister's keeper and understand that in the end, when it's all said and done, we win this game, y'all. We win. Don't be in despair. Don't fret. The driver got this. So until the next show, y'all. Until the next show.